Hi YouTube and welcome back to my channel. So last time I kind of talked about my various dating adventures, but I left out the story of the one guy that I will always refer to as the boyfriend from hell. And some folks said, yeah, I'd love to hear that story. So here's my story of my boyfriend from hell. And seriously, I mean, my boyfriend from hell is probably a cakewalk compared to some people's boyfriends from hell. Seriously, I know that I got it lucky when it came to this guy. I mean, he was just the worst person I've ever dated. I have never been a victim of domestic abuse, and I'm not about to say that my experience at all is comparable to that whatsoever. Thankfully, I've not yet ever gotten into a relationship with someone who was abusive. I had a couple of first dates with guys that I think probably could have been, but I think they realized very quickly that they weren't going to be able to wrap me around their little finger like they, like a lot of folks like that do. I was just a little too just aware of myself and self-confident and that kind of thing, where to the point where they just weren't going to be able to manipulate me. I'm not easy to manipulate. Not impossible, but it takes a lot of work to try and get me to do something without just telling me and me agreeing to it. So anyway, that disclaimer aside, so this guy, and to be perfectly honest, I don't even remember his name anymore. So I'm terrible at remembering names anyway, but this guy in particular, I literally don't even remember his name. We dated for about 2 or 3 months-ish. I don't even recall exactly the exact time frame. That whole part of my past single life is a bit of a blur. I had a lot of different things going on at the time and stuff, so, and I don't even remember if it was like, I know we met online either through like a Match.com or an OkCupid or some kind of a site like that. I really don't remember exactly which site it was. He reached out to me, that much I do remember, and I do remember that I initially wasn't interested. I actually said thanks, but no thanks, and I don't know if it was his profile that wasn't interesting to me, or I was just taking a break and just not interested in general. There's a lot of this I don't remember. I do remember that he wrote me back and was like, hey, come on, give me a chance, and here's all my good things, and I don't know, he made himself sound really interesting. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll give you a chance. And so we set up a date, because one of the things when I was doing online dating is I would chat with the people online for maybe a week or two at most, but I was very much like, I need to meet you in person, because one of the things I learned is you can have a lot of chemistry with someone online, but then when you meet them in person, all of a sudden it's like, who is this person? This is not, the chemistry's just not there anymore. And so online chemistry and in-person chemistry can be very, very different. And so that's one of the reasons why I try to set up dates. When I was doing online dating, I set up dates very, very quickly. Just a quick meet up at a coffee shop or have a drink or whatever. I rarely insisted on dinner. In fact, I never insisted on anything. Oftentimes it would be their choice if they wanted to actually go all out and buy me dinner or something. It was their choice, even though, to be perfectly honest, I always offered to pay my share anyway. I don't see it's fair that I'm seeking as much as they're seeking, so why should they have to pay every time? Anyway, a whole nother video there. Anyhow, so I know we met up. We had a number, all the different times that we met just kind of blur together in my head, and I don't remember if he came, because he was up in Denver, I'm in northern Colorado, and so it's like an hour's drive between. And I don't remember if he came up first or I went down first. I think he probably came up, and we went out to dinner and we spent an evening together. just out in public and stuff. And I always met them at the location. I never had them come pick me up. I did not want someone I didn't know to know where I lived initially. I mean, once you get to a point where you feel comfortable with them, then it's okay. Yeah, here's my address, here's my apartment, that kind of thing. So we went out, and obviously we did hit it off, and he did seem really charming, and he had a really cute dog, and I don't know, things seemed to click well enough that we ended up having, multiple dates. And I went to Denver quite a few times, and he came up here, and we would go out to dinner and stuff. And I think it's even one time when he came up here, and I ended up, because I was still on a pager system, I literally had a pager, and there was an emergency thing with my work where we had to push live some content at like 11 o'clock at night. And thankfully, because of where my apartment was, I was practically across the street, so I'm like, oop, I gotta go into work and leave him behind in my apartment and come back and get him afterwards. That was interesting. But anyhow, so as the relationship progressed, the initial first few dates and everything, obviously things were going well. We were hitting it off and stuff, but things started to go a little weird. I started spending more time at his place, which was fine. I mean, it was something to do with his work and just not being able to come up to where I was. And my schedule just happened to be more flexible, especially on the weekends, and so it just worked out that way. So I drove down there more often, and to me that wasn't a problem, although that was probably an early sign of the issues that ultimately arose in the relationship. Let's see, one of the first red flags, we were in the middle of being adults and being intimate, and he actually told me that if because I don't always come to a conclusion in those things, as many women don't. In other words, I don't orgasm all the time. It's a thing. It happens. Not all women orgasm every single time. It's a fact of biology. And so I didn't, and I'm a very honest person, so I don't fake it. I don't like faking it. I know most guys always say, I don't want her to fake it, I want to know. Well, he was different. He was like, why aren't you faking it? And he actually insisted that whether I was enjoying it or not, I should fake it every single time. And I don't even know how good of a faker I am, because just whatever. It's just not my thing. It felt dishonest. I tried to play along with it, but that started to feel wrong. So that was the first red flag. And then not too long after that, we were hanging out at his place again, and we went out to lunch, and there was an Oktoberfest in Denver at the time. And so we went to the Oktoberfest, and we had some beer and some brats and listened to some music. And one of my grandmother's favorite folk songs, the band started playing that. And I was still, this was right around the time I was still in therapy, trying to deal with the grief of losing my grandmother. I lost her in 1998, but it took me until about 2000, 2001 for the grief to properly manifest, because I never allowed myself to grieve, and that's a whole nother story. But anyway, so I was actually in the middle of therapy trying to deal with these feelings and actually to let them out. And I hear this song, and because of the therapy I'd been going through, I just started bawling. I just bawled my eyes out. And he was just kind of like all sorts of taken aback by this. And he got me out of there, and we went back to his apartment. And along the way, he was like, well, I know how to make you feel better. And string of expletives in terms of sexual intentions that he had. And I looked at him like, I'm grieving over my grandmother, and you want to do what? So that didn't go over very well. Oh, and you know what? Oh, I'm actually getting this out of time sequence now. I'm just remembering the other red flag that happened before this, because this was actually that whole thing with the Oktoberfest was pretty much the last straw, and I pretty much broke up with him at that point because I was just so done with him. But before that happened, we were out to dinner. We went to, actually, I remember this, we actually went to the Cheesecake Factory in Denver, and we were walking back to his place because he lived like real close to downtown and all the restaurants and things. And I twist my ankle. I have very weak ankles, they twist very easily, I can just step wrong and I actually fell into the street. And thankfully there were no cars coming because I would have been crushed, seriously, because I had no control over the fall. And he helped me up on the sidewalk, but I could not walk on this ankle. It was very badly sprained. I've sprained my right ankle very badly. Never broken it, thankfully, but I have sprained it very badly at least 8 or 10 times in the course of my adult life, and it just folds, so it's just bad. Anyway, so very badly sprained ankle. He left me there, ran back to his apartment, got his car, came to pick me up and drove me, because I think it was another 3 or 4 blocks. It wasn't a long walk, but there was just no way with my ankle. We went to a pharmacy and we got some ankle wraps and some ice packs and just all the things that, because like I said, I sprained my ankle a lot, so I actually know how to properly wrap it by myself, so we didn't go to urgent care because I'm like, okay, I pretty much knew it wasn't broken because I just knew the feeling of it, and I'm so familiar with how the whole thing goes. I'm like, okay, let me just get it iced, let me get it wrapped, let me elevate it, just do all the things that you're supposed to do for the first 24 hours and it should be fine. It still took another 2 or 3 weeks for it to heal properly, but ultimately it was fine. Of course, he had to live on the 3rd floor of an apartment building that had no elevator. So I had to hobble up the stairs. That was interesting. But he got me to his apartment. I mean, he supported me, he helped me up the stairs and everything. Got me situated on his couch, and I actually spent the night on his couch because I needed to keep the leg elevated and things. And so it was just easier to be on the couch than to be in the bed with him, which was fine. And so I spent the night there and most of the next morning, and then I slowly hobbled downstairs to my car. And it was a bit dicey driving home, but I mean, I had to get back home because, let's say, it was Saturday night that I sprained it. I had to get home Sunday night so that I could go to work Monday. I didn't have a choice. And I also made an appointment to see my doctor on Monday. I think I ended up seeing him like either Monday or Tuesday. And he took a look, and yeah, it was broken. And I had wrapped it properly, and he rewrapped it for me and everything. So ultimately it was fine, but I was limping around for a while. Well, between that weekend where I sprained it and the next weekend, Mr. Boyfriend from Hell decided, well, I don't know if he decided, well, to be perfectly honest, I think decided is the correct term in this case, to wrench his knee. And so he was hobbling around too. And he's, I have no idea how I did this. I woke up this way. It just like all sorts of things. The thing that gave it away in terms of the fact that he was faking this was the fact that he kept switching which leg he was limping on. Sometimes he limped on the right and sometimes he limped on the left. And I'm like, could you make up your mind? And even though I called him out on it, he still insisted that. And miraculously, once my ankle was healed, so was his knee. And what I came to realize through all that is the fact that he didn't like to not have the attention. He was very needy and he needed the attention on him. And because I was injured, I needed a little bit more attention, and that didn't sit well with him. And so he became needy. He's like, well, my knee hurts and this, that, and the other. And it just got to a point where it was like, he couldn't help me out because of his knee and because of, and well, my injury is more recent, therefore you need to cater to me. Everything was about him, to the point where it was just completely ridiculous. And I think that whole incident with the Oktoberfest happened maybe a week or two after we both recovered from our injuries. And so my ankle was still touch and go, but it was, I wasn't limping anymore and everything. It had, I wasn't wrapping it anymore, that kind of thing. But I was still a little tentative, obviously. I tend to always be after I've injured it. And so it takes me a while to kind of get back to the mindset of I'm fine again. But I was fine, and like I said, he was miraculously fine. And then of course this whole thing with the grieving of my grandmother, and then well, I'll boink you to make you feel better. That was just ridiculous. And what made this even worse ultimately was I very clearly said, I don't want to see you again. I am done with you. I didn't say we've broken up. I just I'm done with you. I don't want to see you anymore. Whatever. Grabbed my stuff, went down to my car, drove home. Well, the next weekend he calls me like, hey, are you coming? I'm like, what do you mean, am I coming down to Denver? No, I'm not coming down to Denver. We broke up. I dumped you. And he was like, no, you didn't. And I'm like, pretty much. I said, I don't want to see you again. He's like, oh, I thought you meant for the day. I'm like, no. So he drove all the way up to my apartment and banged on the door and insisted that I tell him to his face, I break up with you. I had to literally say that phrase for him to be like, okay, fine, whatever. And he still wanted to talk about it and just go over everything. And I'm like, dude, I have no interest in being your girlfriend anymore. I don't want to date you. I don't want to see you. I want nothing to do with you. Go away. He finally left. And then a year later, he started messaging me online. I forget if he found me through Facebook, because I had just gotten a Facebook account, or was it Friendster, or it was some social media. He found me. And like, gee, I really miss you, and gee, could we get together again? And I was like, hell to the no, block, go away. He sent me emails a few times. I mean, he actually got to the point where it was all stalkery, because he was actually finding me in other different things and reaching out to me and saying, hey, and I thankfully he kept using the same username. It was like the Green Gummy Bear. I don't remember his real name, but I remember his username, the Green Gummy Bear. At least I think it was the Green Gummy Bear. I'm pretty sure it was. And I'm like, okay, I know it's you. Go away. Leave me alone. I want nothing to do with you anymore. And then just, basically just blocking him, because I was just getting so frustrated over the whole thing. And this went on for 2 or 3 years before I think he finally got a clue and left me alone. And I think to be perfectly honest, it's that whole stalker thing after the breakup that really makes him in my mind the boyfriend from hell. I mean, yeah, he was needy and really needed a lot of, give me attention, give me praise, don't let me know that I suck in bed, because he kind of did. But I didn't care. For me, and I kind of talk about this in my whole thing about being demisexual. It's the sex in a relationship is the least important thing for me. I need the conversation. I need the intellect. I need a lot of other things. I don't really need the sex. I mean, it's nice when it's with a person I care about, but I can take it or leave it. I really can. And so I didn't care that he wasn't that good in bed, but I didn't like having to lie and pretend that I liked it more than I did. I thought that was being dishonest, and I really liked the fact that my husband was very much not like that. He liked me to be honest. He wanted to know if I wasn't enjoying it, and it wasn't, generally it had nothing to do with him. It had to do with me and the fact that I just wasn't into it, and my body just wasn't responding, and it had nothing to do with him doing something less good or more good on different occasions. It was just the way my body was responding at the time. So, but anyway, so yes, there's the long-winded and many tangents story of my boyfriend from hell. And as you can tell, like I said, I got off lucky. I could have had it a lot worse. I mean, yeah, okay, he stalked me online, but he never threatened me. He never threatened to kill me or to come in and hurt me and stuff. And I'd moved apartments a few times during the time. And I wasn't moving because I wanted him to not be able to find me either. I was moving because I wanted to save money because the rent was going up too high. But I did move, so I wasn't in the same apartment. So if he ever went by that apartment, I wasn't there anymore. But yeah. So have any of you had needy stalkery type exes like that before? I mean, like, yikes, dude. Like, and if for some reason you were the boyfriend I'm talking about, and I'm sorry if I can't remember your name, and you're watching this now, many years later, like, why? What? I wasn't that special. I really wasn't, so I don't know what the... Yeah, well, anyway. It's all in the past now. So anyway, thanks for watching my, once again, rambling stories, and until next time, take care. Bye-bye.